here to present to you a whole lot of information about the topics that you see on screen. I'm going to go over them, but as of today, it's January 13th, 2021. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. So without further ado, I'd like to start this presentation off with some statistics on fatality ratio with COVID here. Just showing you that the fatality ratio is very low. As you can see, here's some of the numbers for the 5 different scenarios. All scenarios have very low fatality ratios. But anyway, so let's backtrack before we talk about anything to 2017, 2014. Dr. Fauci gave Wuhan Institute of Virology a grant for worth $3.7 million. And in this video right here explains it. And we also have a source right here that tells me from Snopes.com. Did Obama admin give Wuhan laboratory a $3.7 million grant? Well, if we look here, it's true, yet it's false. The part that was true about it is that the $3.7 million grant was awarded between 2014 and 19 by the NIH and helped funded research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. So you're probably wondering, like, why is the NIH giving them money? Sounds familiar, right? This place? What's false? However, not all of that $3.7 million went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Not all of the funding took place under the Obama administration, and $700K was approved under Donald Trump of that $3.7 million. So here we're gonna watch a video explaining what happened between Dr. Fauci, and we're also gonna have three separate doctors give their opinion on Fauci. So yeah, let's just listen. And I have some timestamps on this slide that will be stopping by. So first, we'll just start off with 225. Sure.
To remove the original interview as it approached 7 million views. On April 29th, 2020, BuzzFeed contacted me for clarification on a video I produced on the 19th that included excerpts from that interview, which, according to a spokesperson from YouTube speaking to BuzzFeed, the BuzzFeed reporter, those excerpts did not violate the social media company's policies. Now, in the opening of the interview, Dr. Buttar discusses how he believes Dr. Fauci got around the 2015 moratorium on CV testing by transferring $3.7 million U.S. taxpayer dollars to the Wuhan lab to continue that very testing. Take a look. I think you're talking about is the moratorium that was placed, and then $3.7 million from the National Institute of Health was transferred to China so they could continue this research, even though the moratorium. So they basically outsourced this research to China. Is this the same topic we're talking about here? This news is just breaking?
Yes, this is exactly right. So it goes back to 2014. The U.S. government decided, based upon certain virologists at that time, saying that, look, there's no justification for this kind of research. There's a potential for it to cause harm, cause a pandemic. So there's no justification for us to do this type of research. So the government passed a moratorium in 2014. Fauci approved budgets to be monies to be sectioned for this type of research. So basically, and I'm getting really, every time I think about
that should just be enough, right? You hear what he said? That he just Fauci just gave Wuhan the money, and this doctor's saying, why give them the money? There's a potential to a pandemic. But let's see what Fauci has to say.
Exact quotes, I don't want to say the exact words. You guys have the video footage. My point is that
there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak.
How does he know that? Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, Rudy Giuliani slammed Dr. Fauci over his agency's 3.7 million grant to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So, Rudy Giuliani, he said it in the beginning of the video, but it's the guy who's doing the interview. He previously did another video talking about the money sent to Wuhan, and his video got taken down. So, yeah. And then here's what President Trump has to say about that money.
About that grant. Watch.
Thank you, Mr. President. U.S. intelligence is saying this week that the coronavirus likely came from a level 4 lab in Wuhan. There's also another report that the NIH, under the Obama administration in 2015, gave that lab $3.7 million in a grant. Why would the U.S. give a grant like that to China?
The Obama administration gave them a grant of $3.7 million. I've been hearing about that. And we've instructed that if any grants are going to that area, we're looking at it literally about an hour ago, and also early in the morning. We will end that grant very quickly, but it was granted quite a while ago. They were granted a substantial amount of money. We're going to look at it and take a look, but I understand it was a number of years ago, right?
So you are.
When did you hear was the grant was made?
2015.
2015. Who was president then?
Yeah, who was president then? Now, all things considered.
So yeah, that's all I'm gonna play from this video. You can look at it later if you want. I'll leave the link in the description. But yeah, in 2015, $3.7 million given to the Wuhan Lab Institute of Virology. I hope I didn't like switch those words around, but yeah, you get the point. So this picture is a good picture. You'll see why later. But anyway, so let's go on. This is the timeline that I created from 2019 to 2020 of just some events that I put together just to try to sum up what I'm going to dive into here. So in 2019, October 18th, we had Event201, and this. Here, let me just open the link here. You could find this easily. All of these topics that I'm going over, I have the sources embedded, as you can see, all over. So I didn't just pull these out of my ass. But anyway, October 18th, yes, either the 19th or the 18th, but October 18th, Event201 simulates an outbreak of a novel zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats to pigs to people that eventually becomes efficiently transmissible from person to person, leading to a severe pandemic. Event201 was a 3.5-hour pandemic tabletop exercise, 3.5, whatever. 15 global businesses, government, and public health leaders were players in that simulation exercise. This was 2 months before the pandemic. So in December 2019, the pandemic arrives. There's claims saying that it came from a wet market in Wuhan, China, and there's also claims saying that it came from a lab in China. So which one are you going to side with? If you side with one of them, it's only going to lead you to a path of something else. Okay, you have to be open-minded here. You can't just go with one side, or else you're not going to understand the whole narrative. But anyway, like I said, likely originated in a wet market in Wuhan that has vendors selling live animals such as cats, dogs, fish, rabbits, and bats. And then I also have 2 videos here that I want to play, which talks about it's a Chinese virologist, and she's being interviewed about the coronavirus and how she's done some research on it, but she had to escape China because nobody wants to know that information. Nobody wants you knowing that information. But we have 2 videos here from her. And then one more thing that I'd like to mention is that in 2013, the U.S. government put a stop to all federal funding and gain of research studies, with particular concern rising about SARS. And SARS is what this virus is. It's a respiratory. Let's just search up what SARS means. I can't type. SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. So it's a respiratory issue, but yeah, that's what this virus is. It's a SARS virus. But anyway, let's play these two videos here. Virologist Dr. Li
In less than a year, we have grown to see.
And I'm not going to try to play too much because I want to get this video going. I'm trying to keep it all short here just to get the information to you. Okay.
Human-to-human transmission is denied, like mask doesn't work, and hydroxychloroquine doesn't work and even harmful. Also, they said this won't be an outbreak, right? We see how many lies they work together to tell people. And also, back to the scientific world, it's also the same, which also make me shocked. But you know, I've been working with the top coronavirus expert, like Malik Paris, and also Liu Peng. So those are the ones in the core team to support the WHO consultant team in COVID-19 and other emerging disease topic. So 17th January, when I say there's still no response and I say the time is urgent, situation is very critical at that time. So I decided to release the information by myself. And then I turned to contact Mr. Mude, who's a YouTuber based in US, and reveal the truth to anti-Chinese Communist Party. I anonymous delivered this message through him on 19th January, which led a series of the policy change from China government just within hours.
So yeah, that's just one video. I'm going to play the second one just so we can keep the pace going.
The outbreak. Determined to share her findings with the world, she was allegedly forced to flee to the US for her own safety. And it's from a secret location that she joins us today. Dr. Yan, thank you so much for joining us. It's an incredible story that you have to tell. And like we say, you're a scientist, you're a virologist, you were working at the Hong Kong School of Public Health. And it was back in December, you were asked to study a cluster
Let me show the title.
of unknown virus cases.
You can find it if you
want.
want.
Wuhan, to be precise. What did you discover in those early days?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. So first, let me briefly introduce the whole thing from the beginning. So I'm the medical doctor and also PhD who work in the University of Hong Kong School of Public Health in the WHO reference lab for both influenza and later the new coronavirus. So basically, I work with a bunch of the top coronavirus and also emerging disease experts in the world. And because I had got my 2 degrees from mainland China, and I'm the only one who can speak in Mandarin there, so I'm the one from the core team assigned to go to do the secret investigation about the new pneumonia in Wuhan back to in December, 31 December last year. So during my investigation, which lasted until twice from early January, end December, early January, to the second time, the mid-January, what I have found is actually report to my supervisor, who's a WHO consultant, but there is no response from WHO and from them because everyone warned me that don't cross the red line and don't keep silence. If not, I will get disappeared. So finally, on 17th January, I know I have to tell it to people because it's urgent. And then I turned to contact a very famous Chinese YouTuber based in US, Mr. Mude, and delivered.
I think you guys know him. She mentioned his name in the last video, Mr. Mudar. He's like a tech channel on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. But anyway.
The 5K pound to him, which was the first time it was told to the world, but it's in Chinese. That is first, China government was discovering the COVID-19 situation. The second thing is the whole situation is human-to-human transmission already exists. The third thing is SARS-CoV-2 is a high mutant virus and it will become the outbreak soon if no control. The fourth thing is the seafood market in Wuhan and all the intermediate hosts, these are the smoke screen. And the final thing is, this virus is not from nature. This is based on the China Military Institute discovered and owned some bad coronavirus named ZC45 and ZXC21. Based on that, after lab modification, becomes a novel virus.
So, sorry, Dr. Dr. Gian, if I may interrupt just a second, just to be clear, you're saying we've all been told, we've all heard about these wet markets and the seafood market, and there were claims certainly from the beginning that this is where it started. You genuinely, in your scientific beliefs, you don't believe that's where it came from at all?
No, I have my intelligence.
Okay, so that should be enough. You can look up the video if you want. I'll probably have it in the description below, as long as this video here. But we're just going to get going with it. In 5 minutes into one of the videos, I don't know if I got there, but she says that the Chinese government denies virus came from the lab, says that the WHO said that there is no virus. So pay attention to that wording. The Chinese government says that the WHO said there is no virus when being asked a question that they should know. They give an answer of someone else. But anyways, on January 21st, 2020, we have Donald Trump. And what does he say? To embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the parental prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. Now, what is he possibly talking about? And I got this from here, World Economic Forum, their website. In a speech just minutes before teenage activist Greta Thunberg addressed a session called Averting Climate Apocalypse, Trump warned there were forces at work that aim to destroy our economy and wreck our country or eradicate our liberty. This is from this website. I'll just bring it up so you can see. But yeah. So, what is he possibly talking about? We're about to dive into that, but maybe you can come up with answer for yourself after we watch this video of Klaus Schwab talking about COVID-19, the Great Reset. This video was posted on July 14, 2020. We're going to skip to 2239, where Schwab is asked a question and giving a response.
But we've also published a global risks report every January, which sets a map for the year ahead and kind of identifies some of the major issues that need to be on the 5 to 10 year horizon for policymakers. Professor Schwab, to what extent will this great reset mean a great reset for some of those flagship analyses of the global economy that's produced by institutions like the Forum?
As you know, the Forum is a community of communities, big global stakeholder communities, community we integrate governments, business, international organizations, civil society, our young global leaders, our global shapers, and I could go on. We are also involved into about 100 different activities or initiatives at this moment. All this will be integrated into a big work stream. The Great Reset will serve as a platform to integrate all the different stakeholders, to integrate all the different aspects. Because if we talk about the Great Reset, we know we cannot address all those issues in a very compartmentalized way. I think everything is interwoven. The fourth industrial revolution, for example, with the issue of the future of work, and so on and so on. Our work in the Forum will be very much determined by an effort to create new ideas, to present those new ideas at the annual meeting 21. I want to highlight the book itself is much more an analysis of what happened and what could happen and what will happen.
I'm going to replay that because that's pretty important.
I want to highlight the book itself is much more an analysis of what happened and what could happen and what will happen. But we have to find now the necessary responses. And here we need new innovative ideas, and we have to integrate everybody into this process. It has to be an open process. So that's the reason why I'm so keen to provide also a forward-looking dimension to this Great Reset initiative by integrating the 10,000 global shapers, leaders between 20 and 30 years old, who not only leaders, I mean, they represent society in 400 different cities of the world. So definitively, to be now precise in the response to your question, definitively the Global Competitiveness Report, the Gender Parity Report, will be influenced by the other work and by our considerations related to the Great Reset Initiative.
Thank you.
Okay, so what he said, he's looking for multiple cooperations to come together to help reset and bring this economy back. He was also talking about, oh man, we're about to talk about it all. Don't worry. But I hope you paid attention to what he was saying. I really wasn't, because I've watched that video like millions of times. But yeah. We have a whole section on Klaus Schwab. So don't worry, we're coming back to him. So anyway, let's talk more about Event201. What was this Event201? Well, it was a global pandemic exercise organized by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the World Economic Forum, and the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. And we mentioned it here that it was a simulation of an outbreak, and it was a 3.5-hour exercise with 15 global business, government, and public health leaders to help solve like the problem solution. And if we read here, this is also from Event201, their website. It says there that the players' responses to the scenario illuminated the need for cooperation amongst industry, national governments, key international institutions, and civil society to avoid the catastrophic consequences that could arise from a large-scale pandemic. And they also even made toys that look just like a little coronavirus. So this is all a money game, okay? Just keep that in mind. It's all for money, really. But here's something that Bill Gates said this is what something Bill Gates said in a TED Talk a few years ago, talking about vaccines and climate
pretty
change.
near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But they get pretty near to
Bill Gates said
zero.
that. This is the guy that's trying to push vaccines on you. It's on the news telling you, oh yeah, the vaccines are sick, man. Yeah, dude, you're crazy. Anyways, the Event201 scenario, let's dive a little more into it. This is straight from the website, screenshots from the website. So, we already read some of this. It simulates an outbreak of a novel zootanic virus transmitted from bats to pigs to people, caused and molded largely on SARS, more transmissible in community setting with mild symptoms. It's first traveled, exported by air to Portugal, the US, and China, and then try to make it to other countries. Although some countries are able to control it, it continues to spread and be reintroduced, and eventually no country can maintain control. There's no possibility of a vaccine being available in the first year, but somehow there is there's 2 of them in the first year. There's a fictional anti-drug that can help the sick, but not significantly limit the spread of the disease. Since the whole human population is susceptible, the cumulative number of cases increases exponentially, doubling every week. The scenario ends at the 18-month point with 65 million deaths. The pandemic is now beginning to slow due to the decreasing number of susceptible people. The pandemic will continue at some rate until there's an effective vaccine or until 80 to 90% of the global population has been exposed. When it says exposed, I'm not sure if it's talking about being exposed to the vaccine or the virus, but either way, it doesn't look good. From that point on, it is likely to be an endemic childhood disease. So from reading this section, everything kind of falls in line with what's going on right now. Anyway, including this part, I just want to point out, if you don't know, that the two vaccines, Moderna and the Pfizer, they don't do nothing for the first dose. I believe that, like, you still can contact the virus, but even off the second one, I hear that the symptoms, or like the not the symptoms, but the side effects come after the second dose. So I don't know how that looks. I haven't looked too far into that, but anyway. Another section off of the Event201 website was public-private cooperation for pandemic preparedness and response. And this kind of falls in line with what Klaus Schwab was talking about in the previous video, talking about bringing cooperations together to help bring back this economy, this world to, like, come back from the pandemic. He sees the pandemic as an opportunity here, which is why he's bringing many cooperations together for this big money cycle. Anyway, what is this PPP? The next severe pandemic will not only cause great illness and loss of life, but could also trigger major cascading economic and social consequences that could contribute greatly to global impact and suffering. Efforts to prevent such consequences or respond to them as they unfold will require unprecedented levels of collaboration between governments, international orgs, and the private sector. There have been important effects to engage the private sector in epidemic and outbreak preparedness at the national or regional level. However, there are major unmet global vulnerabilities and international system challenges posed by pandemics that will require new robust forms of public-private cooperation to address. And just recently, in December 14th actually, there's a new variant of COVID that has just gone around, known as VUI 2020-1201, or also known as B117, which is the shorter version for it. This was announced by Matt Hancock on December 14th. And this new strain of COVID, it just arrived in Southern California, from what I know, just last week, that being around January 6th. But this strain is said to be 70% more transmissible. That's all. It's not supposed to be more dangerous, more fatal. It's all I hear is that it's more transmissible, and the big idea behind it is that they're trying to feed you these vaccines, okay? But don't be scared about it, okay? I don't recommend anyone taking the vaccines until we have enough research done on them. But anyway, the variant contains 14 dividing mutations, including 7 in the spike protein that mediates entry into the virus of the human cells. So the spike protein, that's what interacts with your nucleus, I guess. I'm not a scientist, but this is what interacts with your nucleus to get inside and mess with your DNA in order to make you sick, I think. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist, but from my understanding. So here, this will be the last slide before we end off the video for the first section. But here we're just gonna watch some videos on this man, Bill Gates, and we're also gonna watch videos on Klaus Schwab. But don't worry, we still have a whole section on Klaus Schwab yet to talk about. But anyway, let's dive into it. We're gonna watch this one first.
Despite all your priorities, we're asking for less than 1% of your budget to come and stay the course on these advances.
And what is the response?
Well, the next year will be exciting. I think Peter Sands is going to talk about the schedule for Global Fund and the goal that they've set.
Do you see how he stuttered on his and then he had to change the subject, kind of?
Despite
he had to shift the attention on someone else. Crazy Bill. Anyway, let's watch this one. It's called Bill Gates on C21.
Projected COVID-19.
Oh, okay, this is important. I want you to remember this for the next video.
Mutation and/or co-infection with projected COVID-19 mutation and/or co-infection with secondary virus referred to as COVID-21, leading to a third wave with much higher mortality rate and higher rate of infection expected by February 2021.
Remember what he said. He said it's likely to be a third strain of COVID coming around January. Let's replay that one more time because it's going to be important in the next video.
Referred to as COVID-21, leading to a third wave with much higher mortality rate and higher rate of infection expected by February 2021. This would be gravely concerning and might quickly stop any dissident movement in its tracks, as the narrative would shift to COVID has mutated. Those crazy conspiracy theorists were wrong all along. It could be possible that dissidents would be scapegoated as the reason for the new outbreak. Also, could this be Pandemic 2 that Bill Gates has previously talked about?
The idea of a bioterrorist attack is kind of the nightmare scenario because they're a pathogen with a high death rate would be picked. Now, the good news is, I'm not trying to depress you, it's tough enough right now.
Too late.
Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for Pandemic 2, I call this Pandemic 1, most of the work we'll do to be ready for that are also the things we need to do to minimize the threat of bioterrorism. So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is, will get attention this time. So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is, will get attention this time. On that,
they just replay this clip over and over again because of their faces. But anyway, I think I think you get the point with this video. Yeah, just look at his face after he says that. Yeah, I think we'll get him next time. There's also this video.
You have to have a vaccine, but you also have to have people willing to be vaccinated. So how big a risk is there that even if we have a vaccine, people actually won't get vaccinated?
Yo. Okay, no, I'm going to talk about this at the end. But did you see how he was restraining, and that was most likely for a vaccine? Jesus Christ.
We need trusted people.
If you don't get a legitimate copy, you won't become aware of the improvements, and overall, the impact that type of ripoff is going to have is that people won't write quality packages.
But that's called the death panel, and you're not supposed to have that discussion.
Police and security guards in Belgium were caught flat-footed today by a cowardly sneak attack on one of the world's wealthiest men. The target was Microsoft Chairman Bill Gates arriving for a meeting with community leaders. Watch what happens when a team of hitmen meet him first with a pie in the face.
That's called the death panel.
Gates was momentarily and understandably shaken, but he was not
Wait,
injured.
not done yet.
The hit squad piled on with 2 more pies before one of them was wrestled to the ground and arrested.
Oh, another one.
The moment he got away. Gates went inside, wiped his face clean, and made no comment. He then went ahead with his scheduled meeting. No word on the motive for this attack.
have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations.
I'm not gonna play this because it looks like they just trying to have that role as the vaccine. Fuck out of here.
And I know.
Okay, so this video is, I guess you could say, he talks about the fourth industrial revolution, which is what we're gonna dive into in the next video, also known as Industrial 4.0. Let's take a look what he has to say.
Well, most countries would envy 6.9% growth. China's got a challenge of shifting the economy into some new directions. There's a lot of great talent in China, building up the educational system, and I think China's got a very bright future. I have a lot of confidence in China, partly because they take a long-term view. They look at what other countries are doing. China's going to be contributing more and more to the world's innovation.
World Economic Forum. This is Davos Meeting 2026. I mean,
it's
Jesus,
increase productivity
2016.
very dramatically. And so if we use it wisely, it's a super good thing. It frees up labor, just like we did in the agricultural sector. And we can always free up labor to do things like help old people more, or handicapped people more, or even at some point reduce the amount that people need to work. So it creates opportunities, it creates challenges. China, partly because of great universities like Tsinghua's, poised to be a huge participant in this. Well, China's obviously got a lot of people, a lot of smart people. It's moved to not only have more people college educated, but lots of engineers. It's raised the quality of those engineering skills. It's created a recognition that if people invent something, that they can be rewarded for that, which is leading to all sorts of new companies, not just in the IT space, although that's the most visible, but also more and more in biology, robotics, those things. So China's going to carry its weight. China and the US will be the two biggest innovators in providing products broadly to the world.
Alright. We're going to talk about Davos in the next one too. So don't worry. Everything that I'm talking about, I will cover. Oh, and then this is just a website. This isn't a video, but I found this one interesting. This was by Humans Are Free, posted on January 29th of 2020, and claim the title is Bill Gates funded the Purebright Institute, which owns a patent on coronavirus. The CDC owns a strain isolated from humans. So here's the patent that they mention. Here's another patent for coronavirus, isolated from humans patent. AKA SARS, the patent was granted to the CDC, and the inventors are all American. And right here, we can even view the PDF of this patent, pages, 72 pages, just showing and talking about this SARS model. Pretty nuts. So, yeah. Just, I don't know. How you can interpret that how you wish, but okay. So, Klaus Schwab. This is a little intro, you could say. Dangerous Marxist leader calls for the Great Reset. What is this? So, oh no, let me mute this. But as we were talking about in one of the previous slides, Trump said we have to ignore these fearmongers of doom, something along those lines. What is he talking about? This is one of the doommongers that he was talking about, okay?
The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. it has laid bare the fundamental lack of social cohesion, fairness, inclusion, and equality. In short, we need a great reset.
This man on the right is Xi Jinping, I believe is the president of China. Or, I don't know, president, I don't know what they call it out there, but the leader of China, you could say.
We have a choice to remain passive, which would lead to the amplification of many of the trends we see today. Polarization, nationalism, racism, and ultimately increased social unrest and conflicts. But we have another choice. We can build a new social contract, particularly integrating the next generation. We can change our behavior to be in harmony with nature again. And we can make sure that the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are best utilized to provide us with better lives.
Sounds good, doesn't it? We're going to dive into it.
It is obvious that we are in the midst of the most severe crisis the world has experienced since World War II. 75 years ago, countries and people came together to shape the post-war global order, which brought us decades of peace, increased global cooperation, and prosperity to hundreds of millions of people around the world. Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system for the need for the post-corona era.
Capitalism creates inequality, also the only system which creates equality, I guess. I'd like to list here, because this picture is most likely taken in China, and somewhere in that area, not in the US, obviously. But these cameras that you see here, from a source, I had a source tell me that in China, they have over 300 million cameras across their city, their nation. And these cameras are like high-tech cameras and are able to like classify you and stuff. But we'll talk about that in another video.
We have to mobilize all constituents of our global society to work together. We must not miss this unique window of opportunity.
He sees this as a unique window of opportunity. So, one more video from Klaus Schwab, and then we'll do a quick recap on what we went over.
Geico's whole 15 minutes thing.
Man, I should get money for playing these ads on my video. Shit. Oh, anyways, let's get it started. Come on.
With many, I don't know how it will play out in November, but
It's just the title. We must prepare for an angrier world. What are we in right now? As of January 13th, what happened last week? A very angry protest / riot, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to call it a protest. I'm not going to call it a riot because it wasn't either of those. That happened last week, and now that is now setting us up for a more chaotic world right now.
But what we know is that we will end up with many more unemployed, and particularly also people in the gray economy, which are not counted for, who lose their jobs. So we will see definitively a lot of anger already now, but probably increased by the end of the year, because this crisis will be with us until we really have found a remedy. So we have to prepare for a more angry world. And how to prepare? It means to take the necessary action to create a fairer world, to see that we provide everybody with decent access to the health system, that we make sure that those people who are really left behind, and I'm not speaking only on national levels, I'm speaking also internationally. If I see now the tragedy in some of the emerging countries like South Africa, like some countries in East Asia, I think it's all, I don't have too many remedies. The remedies have to be discussed through dialogue by the stakeholders of our global system, but I just see the need for such a dialogue, and I see the need for action. I see the need for a great reset.
To what extent would a reset be brought about by a change in the White House, the election of Joe Biden, for instance?
I don't know. We shouldn't speculate about the outcome of the election. We will see beginning of November, and then we can, in any case, we can, and the World Economic Forum is very open and as an open platform to integrate everybody who is willing to address those issues in a spirit, which means to exercise here true global citizenship.
I want to just pick up on some of the economic projections. In your book, you tackle what the future may look like. And at this stage, we're grappling with various letters of the alphabet, whether it's a V or a U or perhaps even a symbol, a tick shape. Can you just give us some clues about the growth down the track, what we can expect?
First, if we look at it at the national or global level, at the macroeconomic level, one of the things we address very much in the book, and we are concerned, is the increased debt level. We spend about 10 trillion worldwide to deal with the short-term negative effects of the pandemics. But we should be aware we are just increasing our debt situation. And we were already very much debt loaded before we went into the crisis. So how to get at the end out of this debt situation is still a big question mark. Second, we know that there's quite some impact on different industries. We know that certainly the health industry, the digital industry, will go out of this crisis strengthened, but we know that
that is a very strong claim.
The health industry, the digital industry will go out of this crisis strengthened.
The digital industry will go out of this crisis strengthened. Wow. Well, what does it look like right now? Social media banning our own president? Wow. Okay.
But we know that many industries which rely particularly on physical interaction will have difficulties to survive. Finally, I just would add, I think this is an opportunity again to find solutions which are beneficial for the next generation. So why not to tie government aid to the green economy which we have to create? Why not to make sure that we revolutionize, digitalize particularly our educational system? So we are here when we talk about the Great Reset to talk also about innovation. How can we do things differently from what we used to do? And if we speak about differently, it means also how can we do it to make sure that a majority of people are benefiting from it and not just a minority.
We started out Davos this year talking about the environment, Greta Thunberg versus Donald Trump. Certainly a lot of headlines crossing from the mountain. But last time round in the crisis, we saw people didn't care so much about the environment when we were talking about large-scale job losses. This time seems different. Are you surprised about how strong the sustainability theme has been right through the pandemic?
No, I would see even a chance to accelerate, let's say, our transition into a green economy, because people probably recognize that we have to become more resilient. We have now the experience of one crisis. The environmental crisis, the climate crisis could be a much bigger one. So I see more awareness, but on the other hand, we have the big issue of unemployment, of low levels of employment. And I think we shouldn't see the two as contradictory objectives.
Okay. All right. You know what? I'll just go through these last few slides because they're not that big of a deal. So, anyway, this is just a big timeline just so you can put back together what's going on. In 2019, in the beginning of the year, we had the Davos meeting, which we watched some clips of that, of some people. And then October 19th, I really don't know. Why don't I know? October 18th. October 18th, this was. Sorry about that. October 18th of 2019, we have Event201 take place. We talked about that. Event201 was a simulation of a novel zoonotic coronavirus that transmits from bats to pigs to humans. And this was a SARS molded virus. If you want more information, you can look it up, Event201. In December, the pandemic struck, this being the first month of the pandemic. If we're going to live in the simulation of Event201, this would be the first month of the simulation. Second month. Oh god, okay. Second month being January. In January, what happens? January. Well, why is this like spread over everywhere? Jesus Christ. But anyway, January 1st, 2020 is the World Economic Forum Davos meeting. Fast forward throughout the year, as you could say, we had our BLM protests in June, July, August. We'll just put that here because we're going to talk about the storm. In December of 2020, the second strain of the virus comes out, known as VUI 2020-1201, aka B117. And this is also Trump on a clock. Last few days of December, breaking news. Pennsylvania certified results for president are found in error. The error is twice the size difference between candidates. So this is like the first sign of possible fraud. He says he's going to expose Joe Biden on his fraud. And then in January 4th, 2021, Trump claims to have evidence on voter fraud but does not present the evidence. On January 6, 2021, the Trump protests happened in Washington, D.C. You can call this a protest. You can call it the Trump inciting violence, whatever you want to call it, whatever. January 24th is going to be the Davos World Economic Forum meeting. It will be a live stream. You can find this on their website for yourself. We're going to be able to watch it live. So no news since then because we are currently in January. February be the 15th month, and then going to May being the 18th month of the simulation according to Event201. This would then be 18 months after the COVID outbreak. And then considering the video that we watched that talked about a third possible strain coming in February, This is going to be important when we talk about the Great Reset and Klaus Schwab's book in the next video. But as you could say, we still have time here. If they want to reach their goal with the Event201, we still have time for them to push out what they need to. You know, the scenario ends at the 18-month point with 65 million deaths. Where are we right now? Let's see. We probably won't get a straight answer here, but confirmed cases confirmed around the United States, deaths. See, look, the death toll is so low. It is, I mean, it's not so low, but like, it's less than you expect, honestly. But yeah, we are not even close to 65 million deaths. And just the other week, not the other week, but like the other day, as CBC News or CBS News had put out an article saying that a power outage occurred with the Moderna freezers. Like their whole stock had been corrupted because of the freezers being cut off with electricity, so they couldn't be frozen no more. So they're about to go bad. So I hear that the Moderna vaccines are being pushed out like ASAP. So they're trying to get them in everyone. I don't know how that's gonna work. So Stop the Steal, The Storm is Coming is basically the protests, the violence that was incited on January 6th by the president. Yeah, let's take a look at some clips that went around this day, on Twitter and all over. So look here. This was happening all over the world. Breaking: police are clashing with protesters during a Stop the Steal rally in Salem, Oregon. I'm just gonna mute it because it's kind of loud, but as you can see, there's a guy that comes out with a paintball gun over here. Yeah, look, this guy's a paintball gun, shooting people, and there's being tear gas thrown. Yeah.
I got maced.
You got maced?
Let please.
And what happened? You were trying to go inside the Capitol?
I made it like a foot inside and they pushed me out and they maced me.
What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Elizabeth. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And why did you want to go in?
We're storming the Capitol. It's a revolution.
Idiot, bro. This is so dumb. Never would I ever run into a government facility like that. Oh, this one had shocked me. Police was walking down a rioter down the stairs for comfort. Oh my god, dude. Like they just, oh my god, I gotta tell you, these guards, the police that were there, they let them go in there. They didn't try their best to stop it. I'll tell you that. They let this happen. Oh yeah. Oh no. This is just a mob. Just going at it. Look, stomping all the cameras out. Look, this is the media. This is like a news station, all their equipment. Terrible day. It's a very terrible day. Look at this. I cannot believe this. What do you do in this situation? If you were a cop, if I was in this situation, what would I do? I don't know. I really don't know what I would do, but I wouldn't be standing in a line waited to be ran through. That's definitely something I wouldn't do. I don't know. I would have to start firing or something. Shit. Not at someone, but like, man. I start firing in the air, like, calm the fuck down. I don't know. I don't know.
Some pretty compelling evidence from a facial recognition company showing that some of the people who breached the Capitol today were not Trump supporters. They were masquerading as Trump supporters and, in fact, were members of the violent terrorist group Antifa. Now, we should seek to build America up, not tear her down and destroy her. And I am sure glad that at least for one day, I didn't hear my Democrat colleagues calling to defund the police.
But yeah, as you could read right here, Antifa tricked us into joining a false flag attack on the Capitol building, and then the blame, which then became an actual attack. So, as you could see, there were groups that instigated the violence at the Capitol. Trump didn't condone this. This happened from other people that are not on his side, really. Wow, this tweet doesn't even exist anymore. Not sure what this was. Here's the report. Busload of Antifa. And Antifa is just like a terrorist group, I'm pretty sure. I don't know too much about them, but I'm sure you've seen like news on media saying that Antifa was at the Capitol building, like taking pictures and stuff. This one, he talks about the murder of the one girl that died. Ashley Babbitt.
First and last name and where you're from?
Yeah, I'm Thomas Barani from New Jersey.
Can you show us your hand?
Yeah.
How did you get that on your hand?
Sadly, actually, the video of that woman dying is actually on the internet, and it's very, very bad.
Well,
it's not good at all.
We had stormed into the chambers inside, and there was a young lady who rushed through the windows. A number of police and Secret Service were saying, "Get back, get down, get out of the way." She didn't heed the call, and as we kind of raced up to grab people and pull them back, they shot her in the neck, and she fell back on me and started saying she was fine, it's cool. And then she started kind of like moving weird, and blood was coming out of her mouth and neck and nose.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's alive or dead anymore.
Yeah, you could find that video. It's for
riot police came in and started ushering us out with their sticks.
Where did you enter the building and where did you exit?
Other side with the scaffolding. We tore through the scaffolding through flashbangs and tear gas, and blitzed our way in through all the chambers, just trying to get into Congress or whoever we could get into and tell them that we need some kind of investigation into this. And what ends up happening is someone might have ended up dead, and that's not the kind of government we can have. People have to do something about it.
Yeah, that he just talks about that one girl. And then this one right here. Oh, we're gonna I have another video to play that's not on my slides. Let me bring it up right now, actually. This is on the channel. But Nancy Pelosi calls for Donald Trump's immediate removal after seditious act. I'm sure we've all heard of this by now.
It's a long-term project.
Oh man, this ad's kind of gonna be in my way, but you know what? I'm not even gonna play the video because I don't want to watch this ad. But basically, Pelosi calls to invoke the 25th Amendment on Donald Trump, and if that does not happen, then she plans to impeach him with Congress. And as you can see right here, live on Twitter right now, which is actually not going to happen. I don't know who believes this shit. President Trump faces second impeachment vote following the U.S. Capitol attack. He's not going to get impeached. But anyway, so Pelosi wants to invoke the 25th Amendment. Why does she want to invoke the 25th Amendment? Well, she's scared. What is she scared of? Trump has her laptop.
Pelosi called the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, and they're trying to get him out on the 25th Amendment or to impeach him. Why? Well, because on Wednesday, they took Pelosi's laptop. She's frantic. There were some people in there that were special forces mixed with Antifa, and they took her laptop and they have that data. So you'd say, well, look, you only got 12 days or whatever it is till the 20th. Why worry about it? Just let them go out. No, they are terrified because they have that data. I believe they also have a source that is talking like a songbird. And the president is going to spring that person on us, so it will completely change, because it is someone that has said, I'm not going to do this. This is treason. Remember, this is treason, high treason.
Sir, could he use the emergency broadcast system?
Oh yeah, emergency broadcast system. A lot to be talked about here, considering that Trump has not been able to really access anyone or like any of his supporters since the ban on almost every platform. But yeah, if you don't know, Trump supposedly has Nancy Pelosi's laptop, and she's not too happy about that, which is why she's trying to get rid of him as fast as he can, so he has no information to say on Pelosi. But all of that stuff is for another video because that gets pretty deep, and I don't know how YouTube is on censoring DT right now, DT being Trump. Let's go on to the next slide, though. This will be the last slide before going into the next video. But Davos, what is Davos? I recommend you mark your calendar right now if you really care about this stuff that I'm giving to you right now. Mark your calendar for January 24th or 25th, one of those days. This is the Davos Agenda. These are people that from the World Economic Forum who are coming together to try to better your lives. Davos Agenda. 11 days and 12 hours. So yeah, be ready. Be ready for this announcement. What I'm thinking, they're going to explain what they're going to do in the upcoming years. And you can see here on their website, they have a Fourth Industrial Revolution tab. It talks about pandemic recovery and talks about artificial intelligence, and that's a whole other thing for another video. And on their website, they also have the like COVID plan. COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated that no institution or individual alone can address the economic, environmental, social, and technological challenges of our complex, interdependent world. Pandemic has accelerated systemic changes. Time to rebuild trust and to make crucial choices and fast approaching as the need to reset priorities and the urgency to reform systems grow stronger around the world. The Davos Agenda is a pioneering mobilization of global leaders to shape the principles, policies, and partnerships needed in this challenging new context. It is essential for leaders from all walks of life to work together virtually for a more inclusive, cohesive, and sustainable future as soon as possible. So I guess this is being held virtual, but I think there's also some people going there in person. But yeah. And the World Economic Forum, I don't know if I had explained this yet, but this is from Wikipedia. The World Economic Forum, based in Coligny, Geneva, Canton, Switzerland, is an international NGO founded on 24th of January 1971, and their mission is, as stated, quote, committed to improving the state of the world by engaging business, political, academic, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas. So yeah. So quick recap before we end the video here. What I want you to think about while we leave. Think about Dr. Fauci and his grant to the Wuhan lab under the Obama administration. Think about that. And then think about Event201, which was 2 months prior to the outbreak and pandemic. How does this fall in line with the narrative that's going on present day? Why does this seem like this is some real thing that's really being simulated on it, if that makes sense? I want you to also think about Klaus Schwab, The Great Reset. You can look that up if you want, The Great Reset. I'm going to talk about it in the next video. But I also want you to think about Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci, as they are the two people on the news trying to get you those vaccines. And what do we know? We know that Gates has said in order to reduce carbon emissions, in order to do that, we must reduce one of the variables, and his solution was give vaccines to the people. And we played this here in this video. No, not this video. We played it right here.
Get pretty near to zero. Really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services. We could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Yeah, we can lower the population by 10 or 15% with vaccines. So this is the guy that you're listening to, okay? Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates. These two guys, they're one of the richest people, not in the world, but like these guys are pretty rich. You have to know what they're doing, okay? You can't be fine with these vaccines and this corona pandemic. You can't be fine with it knowing that there's a grant that was sent to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and then we're now having this simulation 2 months before the pandemic, and then it actually happens, and it actually sounds real. And these people have toys of a little coronavirus. Like, what? But anyway, I hope you guys all took in that information. Hopefully you got something from it. And if you didn't, look forward to the next video, because the next video is where I'm really interested in getting into. As you can see, the next slide here is the Great Reset. We're going to talk more about Klaus Schwab and his books and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. So if you enjoyed, please give this video a like. It will help spread the news to other people on the platform. And if you want to share the video too and get the news out there with people that you know, I'd highly appreciate that. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Coming soon. Peace out. Be safe.